Okay. Thanks for joining this week's live stream. This week we'll be talking through all the modules. There's still one or two left in D, but then we're going to go through more. But I'm showing something slightly naughty to start with, because it's not 100% finished yet. But we've been capturing a bunch of amps using the neural amp modeler, the code from that. So it's a module that you can use as a plugin, VST plugin, stuff like that, all over, on desktops, on computers. But it's going to be now, in the next update, available in Beebo and Hector, so you'll be able to capture your own amps and put them in here. You'll only be able to use the lighter NAM modules, the nano ones, but you can capture models and have them in the pedal. So yeah, we've captured a huge pile of amps at Deluxe Guitars here in Melbourne, and right now, I left bunches of them trading over the weekend, and I haven't listened to many of them yet, but I was just playing one just before, and this is one of the magnetones that we captured, and it's kind of fun sounding. So yeah, it's kind of chunky. I'm not sure if you really get that over the phone captures, but those watching on YouTube might actually be able to hear this. But yeah, the captures with NAM does an excellent job at capturing. The error level on the NAM captures is just absolutely fantastic. So after a bit of work and a bit of tuning, we've got it running fast enough to run on Beebo. Again, only the lighter models, but means you can easily have very, very high quality captures of a lot of amps. So that's it's pretty exciting for us to be able to capture those amps and have them here. So it's still going to be a couple of weeks until that's actually available, but just wanted to mention to people on the stream that is coming. And that's something we've been working a lot on over the last couple of weeks, capturing amps and putting them in. So we're going to have, a lot of amps in there, the launch of this module. And as historically, this is, even though it's a pretty major feature, it's obviously another free update. So yeah, we'll be adding all of that. There's a few other things we're adding at the same time. We're also going to do some stuff to make amp captures real easy. Like I've written some scripts to make capturing amps easier, just the process of actually recording the stuff. So we're going to be putting some of them up online as well. Some of them are already on our GitHub, in case you want the code for that stuff. So that's the things that are coming up in the not too distant future, and that's what we've been a bit busy with. Making amp captures. So hopefully that'll be handy. If there's any particular things that people are requesting, we've got, we've tried to capture. If you look at our amazing dealer here in Melbourne, Deluxe Guitars, if you look at their website, you'll see a huge collection of amps, and we tried to capture pretty much, one of everything that was in their amp room, which was very lovely of them. We spent a whole day in there capturing those, which was great. But we've still got other stuff we want to capture. We've got a couple of vintage amps here that we're going to capture, and we're capturing a few others. Some weird stuff like my 1970s Dyson that was made here in Melbourne, but hopefully some slightly more normal things as well that people might want. But yeah, if there's any particular requests, try and get them. There's a ton of amps captured already for NAM, which is great. A lot of those will be in standard models that are too heavy to run on this, but you'll eventually be able to run them on here. So yeah, that's the upcoming stuff. So yeah, NAM captures, which sound like this. Quite nice. So yeah, this is a capture of a magnetone, which is quite fun sounding. So there'll be lots more of those. So now we'll start continuing through our... hey, hi from Spain. Thanks for checking it out. Hope you're enjoying having these things in your store, in our lovely dealer in Spain. Yeah, so now we're going to get back to the usual things. That was just a little bit of a snippet of what's coming up, that there is going to be some new stuff. So that's them. You'll see they use a bit of CPU, but, you know, they're heavy. So what am I up to? Yeah, we'll continue through the list of things, modules that we're going to show and explain. So, you know, we're going to keep doing these every week until we get through all of the alphabet. So last week we covered the DHDSR and the delay. So we're going to knock off these ones and then hopefully get through maybe E and F as well. Give me a yell if you've got any questions along the way, or if I mumble too much or anything like that. I will, you know, try and make my Australian accent understandable for everybody. If you've got any questions at any point, just yeah, give me a yell. So we're up to difference. What on earth can difference be useful for? What does difference do? A minus B, A and B. What do these things mean, you may ask? So again, this is a CV module. See, it doesn't have any audio inputs on this side, and it's got CV inputs down the bottom here. And then it's got a CV output. So what it does is you put in one CV, A, and then you minus whatever is in B off it. Why might this be useful? Well, often you might want to have CVs that are doing different things or offset by some reason. So if you want your maximum value to be a little bit lower, well, you can do that with this. If you want to shift something around a little bit, also a thing you can do with this. This might be handy if you've got an LFO and you want to have that be offset a little bit. Anytime there's a full collection of these maths models, which are just ways you can kind of sculpt CV stuff to be exactly what you want. Usually you'll be sculpting it by saying, hey, I want to have this be a little bit lower or a little bit higher or something like that. So that's the kind of idea. So yeah, difference is going to be useful for making a CV different. So we might have two different CVs going out to something, and we want them to be a little bit different. We might be able to have an example of that with the upcoming things, like this filter. I'm going to show you the difference thing with this panner as well, because that's going to be a good way to explain it. All right, we'll explain filter, and then I'll show you some difference with the Doppler Panner. So, what's a diode ladder filter? Diode ladder filter. It says vintage Japanese designs. What's a diode ladder filter that was used in Japan? Yeah. So, if you want your 303-ish sounds, which who wouldn't, you can use the diode ladder filter for that. Obviously, it's got inputs for these ones, for the cutoff and the Q, as CVs, so we can modulate those, which is usually what you'll want to do with a filter. So chuck that guy through, and I also am connected out to 3, so let's connect out to 3. And we're cutting off right at the bottom so we don't get any sound at all, because this is a low-pass filter. Nothing. I'll crank Q, because more Q is. So Q is resonance. Generally, with these kind of filters, if you have the Q low, they're going to be kind of boring. More Q is more better. Up here, it's not doing anything really, because we're not, there's no frequencies that we're doing anything interesting with. And we get into the fun part down there. And as you add more and more Q, and you control the filter cutoff, you get into more and more fun territory. So yeah, this is so the low pass filter, very similar to the low pass filters. More Rolandy than the filters that are in flat 5. The flat 5 filters are much more Oberheim style. These are much more Roland style. Yeah, so that you can modulate the cutoff of those ones, which you could do by attaching an LFO to them. So yeah, let's chuck in an LFO, and I'll just show you that quickly. Maybe a sequencer. Well, yeah, okay. Okay. Oh, I didn't want that much level. There. Okay. Chuck that guy into cutoff. Yeah, there you go. Ottawa. So that was, yeah, pretty straightforward. You just chuck that in and you get Ottawa. Yep. Done. All right. Let's clear this guy. And we'll go on to... So yeah, filters, they all work kind of the same. They're just different sounds of them. So there'll be more filters later. That's the kind of more squelchy TB303 kind of style one. Obviously, how you sequence it will be a lot of the sound, making that Q stay high. Doppler Panner. What does that do? It's a binaural panner, which means it can pan around things in 3D, which mostly really just works on headphones. But let's put some sounds into this, and then we'll count them out. And if you're on headphones, they will sound correct. So, yeah. This little squiggly guy over here can change how large the room you're in is, the size of your house. Over here, these will change about how it's moved. You'll notice it's got CV inputs for those as well. So mostly, you know, if you want to control how it's panned, obviously you can just send in a CV for that. But you can hear we've got that kind of interesting panning effect going on. Which, because it's doing this kind of physical modeling stuff, it does kind of end up sounding a bit like a Leslie or something like that, in my general opinion. So this controls how much, how extreme that is. And how, well, that's hectic. Okay, that one's quite fast. So, you know, this is our flow frequency. There we go. That one's merely incredibly fast. Instead of being audio rate mod. It can get interesting at higher rates though too. So obviously you can get some kind of fun effects with this. Some of the modules are quite powerful, even the ones you think aren't going to be. Doppler Panner. Can pan things in interesting ways. Again, lots of CV inputs for every single one of these parameters, so you can modulate them all. If you want to modulate out any of these ones, just chuck in an LFO, a chaos controller, or you know, any of the CV things that we have seen along the way. So, Doppler Panner does fancy panning. Psychoacoustic panning. So it's not just like panning from one speaker to the other, it's doing magic-y stuff at the same time. Psychoacoustic panner. Now we come to the end of D, which is also one of the pretty fun modules, which takes more explaining. So, drum patterns. It's got a little bit of description about how it takes external clock, but we'll be running with internal clock. We'll just get rid of our Doppler Panner for the moment. Okay, drum patterns. Look at all this craziness. If you want an explanation, this is based on the Mutable Instruments module grids. So there are lots of videos about that. and manuals for the original module as well. So yeah, if you want to check out any of them, there are videos for them, which will explain actually in better detail what all of these things do. But I will also run through them here. So to explain this, we should add some drums in, which I will do now. We'll duplicate a couple of these. Thank you. I want 3 of them. Macro oscillators. I'm going to run all of these macro oscillators into a VCA so I can control their level. Do I want to do anything complicated here? No, I do not want to do anything complicated here. All right. We're just going to chuck the outs into the VCA, and then we're going to have them all in mono because we are dull. There. You go into... Sorry about that. Very loud. Yeah. Turn down the VCA before you connect the things. Yeah, very, very loud. Yes. Incredibly loud. Sorry for everybody playing at home. That was very loud. So, why is that a thing? Because these are just going continuously until we connect up a trigger to them. So, let's choose what they are. This one's going to be a bass drum. This one's going to be a snare. And this one is going to be a hi-hat. And now we want to connect up triggers to them. So the triggers are these drum patterns. So we connect up our bass drum trigger to our trigger. We connect our snare trigger to our trigger. And we connect our hi-hat trigger to our trigger. So all connected through. Now, if we turn up this, it will A, not be doing anything, and it won't be inoffensively loud. Sorry about that again. Cool. Yeah. All right. Sorry about that offensively loudness. So now we get onto this. We have turned our VCA down to a sensible level, and we have got these connected up. So we've got our, as I said, whoop, no debt. We have our bass drum here, and snare, and hi-hat. We'll also run them out into 3, because I've connected up to both of those. All right, why aren't we hearing anything yet? We haven't pressed run. Oh, okay. So let's make this a bit chunky. I'm kind of okay with all of this apart from this hi-hat, which I hate. I hate that less now. Okay, sorry. There, wiggled them, hate them less. So there we have some drum sounds, which we can turn on and off with the run button. So what is the drum patterns doing? It's giving us a variety of different drum patterns. How do we control this? Well, we have a bunch of hopefully quite obvious controls. Tempo, so it can take in tempo or it can generate that itself. So if we've got a clock from somewhere else, we can send that in. If we've got Eurorack style clock, so pulses, we can send that in, or if we've got a tempo-ish object that we get from like tap tempo or something like that, we can send that in too. Both are a thing. We can then add swing to that. Oh, to my guitar. We can add swing to that. We can add chaos, so this will be obvious if I play Let's get that guy going again. See how it's just way more random if you got chaos crank? But otherwise, it's a very regular pattern. Swing, obviously, you start swinging those notes a little bit, getting towards a more, swing feel, especially for the hats. Density should be relatively obvious. Turn snare down, density down. So now we can only hear our So now we can only hear our snare and our hi-hat. Sorry, our bass drum and our hi-hat with the snares all gone. Obviously, you can control all of these parameters over CV as well, so if you want particular parts in your pattern to do these kind of ratchets, you can. Same with the hi-hats, obviously. So, that's the more obvious parameters. What on earth does the magic ones do? Which is map X and map Y. So, you can basically think of this thing as a giant collection of magical AI patterns. Lots and lots of patterns that it's learned. And these let you move through that space of patterns. So, as you wiggle, some of the ones kind of near a particular value will be kind of similar. And as you move away from that value, you'll get into different types of drum patterns. So let's wander over here. So we've got slightly different drum patterns. See how that one's very different? That one has kind of fun fun kicks. If you find a particular element a bit hectic in one, you can of course control the density of each of those ones. To tune that. So, you can control run externally. One thing you'll notice is many updates ago I changed how the clocking works in this. So sometimes if you load old presets that have drum patterns in them, you'll have to remove the drum patterns and add them again because some of the connections will be different because I changed how it was connected to make the clocking more flexible. So that should be everything about drum patterns that I can think of. So yeah, X and Y, you can modulate. You can also modulate these. So if you want to have these slowly change over time, you'll get your drum pattern to just keep evolving. So if you connect them up to a really slow LFO, I might actually, okay, I'll show that. Let's crank our LFO down to relatively ludicrously slow. We actually, we can have the other LFO actually runs better, super slow, the looping oscillator. The looping envelope, sorry. You can get that one to run in like days, kind of slow, but this one can run slow too. Then if I connect this up to map X or Y, then our drum patterns will... I'll chuck this guy in the middle. our drum patterns will now continuously evolve over time. Which might get a bit too weird, but, you know, it's up to you. Again, you don't have to use these 4 drum patterns. You can send these triggers to anything you want. So if we start saying that actually our snare is a... and then we connect something up to change the pitch of that, we can start getting into vaguely fun stuff. So you can start getting into very simple generative stuff like that. All right. And I think that's the end of D. It is. We're done with D. And now we're up to E. Again, if anybody has any questions along the way, feel free to ask them. All right. We are up to E, where we have the envelope follower and the Euclidean. The envelope follower is hard to use and it's kind of arse. I'm going to make this better at some point. I just haven't got around to it yet. So yeah, sorry about that. How does it work? With great bloody difficulty would be the quick, easy summary. However, it does kind of work. So, what is the point of the envelope follower? Well, it generates an envelope based on what you play. What can you do with this? You can create a compressor. You can create a filter that reacts to your playing. So, in that case, a kind of auto-wari kind of effect. Well, any effect that it takes in your dynamics and does something with them. So envelope filters are an obvious example, but compressors are another example, expanders, I guess. Literally any effect that you can change your dynamics reacts to. So if you want to change the speed of the delay time of a delay, depending on how hard you're playing, you could do that, or the level of the delay, or how fast an LFO is. You can all do that with the magic of the CV output of the envelope follower. So it takes an audio in and gives you a CV out. The challenge is it's kind of hard to set levels well with it. So, because there isn't very good visualization, which is something I want to add at some point, but I have continued to put off. So envelope follower, I'm just going to connect this guy up to the VCA. What do all the things in envelope follower do? Work poorly. So attack time is how quickly it reacts to your playing. Maximum value is the output's maximum value in case you want to just have a more sensible, smaller range or something like that for your filters or whatever you're controlling. Same with minimum value. Envelope invert is obvious. It switches it from doing the opposite. So if it was going to put out a value of 1, it puts out a value of 0 instead. Decay time is after you stop playing, how quickly does it take to go down again? Peak versus RMS is a little confusing, so it's whether it's recognizing your average kind of value or your peak values. Saturation is annoying. It's whether it squishes your top range a little bit. So the idea there is that often you want the curve not to be totally linear, and you want to be able to squish some of those ranges. Threshold is where it starts to recognize. So and we'll follow it to VCA. Do I have that on? Okay. So often you'll take a bit of time to tune what parameters actually make sense for the thing. And the main problem here is, you don't really have any visualization, so it's a bit hard to tell if you're currently attacking too hard or not attacking enough, or... So, obviously, if we invert, we get sound. Now, so these ones, you'll see here that if I change the maximum value, I can now get change the maximum value of that. Saturation is often confusing. And so sometimes I find, depending on your levels, and this is why I need to change this, you won't be able to hit the amount of a sensible place for the thresholds. So sometimes to the envelope follower, you'll want to have more gain. This is a thing that we should fix because it's arse. But if we grab tons more gain and we put that into the envelope follower, sometimes that makes it easier for it to detect. I didn't want to. So let's try that. So yes, I still think I'm going to rewrite the envelope followers to make them, usable. But let's grab some post-gain and a little bit of pre-gain to squish these up a little bit. Maybe lots. So, saturator. It may help to get our levels into a place where the envelope follower likes them better. Yeah, that works better. So see, that's, as I said, so the envelope followers are a bit annoying because sometimes they want more level than your instrument will necessarily be giving out to react in the ways you want them. So that way I've just squished my levels a bit with the saturator to get them to be able to do more of what I want. So you see now that it's detecting that, and I start off with sound, and then it cuts my decay off. So, and I can control how it does that by changing the delay. So I can change how I fade in and out. And I can get that guy right down. And change the attack time into that as well. See, that dips out, comes back. Or I can have it kick in really fast. And now if I switch that around the other way, we'll get more of a normal auto swell kind of way. See, so we get auto swells. And I think so the envelope follower takes a little bit of massaging to get exactly the effect you want, but once you get to these kind of stuff, it does make it very flexible because you can have those kind of things like, auto wahs, any type of, fading in, fading out, slow gear kind of effects. But you can connect that up to anything. So, I've got that CV at the moment just going to a VCA. But if I wanted to fade out the drums when I was playing louder, I could have done that with the thing before, right? I could have connected that up to the VCA of the drums. I could have connected that up to, play more hi-hats at that point. Whatever you want it to do, any of those things can be controlled by CV. If you wanted to connect it up to a flanger or something, so it flanged more when you were playing loud, that could be cool. I don't know what that sounds like. I am open-minded to find out, though. So, one sec. We'll have a bit of a side distraction by finding out what phasers or flanges. Let's go for a phaser. All right. Yeah, I'm contented with that. Instead of being connected up to this VCA, yep. Actually, I can disconnect everything from this VCA. Yeah, instead of being connected up to that VCA, we are going to connect that envelope follower up to this phaser and see if it sounds cool. I don't know if it will. Oh, it does not. Oh, it sounds kind of cool. That bit sounds cool. No, I think that sounds kind of cool. It gets a bit hectic if it's moving too fast. We can control those max and min values a little bit. Let's control that down a little bit, because that got a bit intense. Yeah, that's nicer. Oh, I was just clipping my audio interface in. That's what was going on there. Sorry about that. I'll turn down that level a little bit. It was a bit too hot into my audio interface. That's why I got clipping there before. I wondered what that unhappy noise was. That's better. Sorry about that. Sorry for those playing it along at home. Yeah, that's kind of fun actually. So yeah, that's an envelope follower controlling the phaser. But you can indeed control, anything that's got a CV in, you can control with your dynamics like that. There's tons of modules that can take in CV, like 100. So that's the thing. All right, now we are going to finish off E. I'm just going to check if anybody has any questions. Yeah, if you do have any questions, give me a yell over on the YouTube one or on here, the Instagram. One sec, I'll just check the Instagram questions. Scroll. I'm sorry while I scroll. I hope there isn't motion sickness that you get from this. Yeah, cool. All right, sorry about the wiggles. I had to touch the phone. It's precariously attached. So yeah, if you have any questions about any of these modules, just give me a yell. We're going to do the last bit of E now. And then we're going to see... Oh, F's got lots of stuff. Okay, F has more things. We're going to finish off E today. So, the Euclidean is the end of E. Yeah, it gets pretty weird at this point. Just in case you thought things were pretty sane so far, with the drum stuff. Yeah, nah. We're into weird territory. So, what is the Euclidean sequencer, you might ask? It is a sequencer. So, you've got multiple sequences that you can turn on and off. They have steps and beats. So basically, you can think of these as a neat, easy way to get polyrhythms and more complicated rhythms in general. So I've said here that I want 4 beats, that I've got 4 spots for a beat to go, and I want to put 4 beats in them. Now, if I say that I've got 5 spots for a beat to go and 4 beats, then the time is divided up like this. If I say 6, see, it's trying to evenly divide them into the space. So we've got these ones like this, and then we've got the not beats, the beats that aren't filled, like that. We can shift those around too if we want to kind of tune this pattern. So we can get quite interesting things. And then if we have another one that is we can end up with quite complicated, interesting rhythms and polyrhythmic stuff very easily. And we can shift those around, and you'll see that we're getting into some interesting territory very, very easily. So you'll notice these aren't moving at the moment. This one takes in a trigger to make it go. So, you can either send a clock externally if you're in Eurorack land, or a trigger somehow. But for the purposes of the moment, let us grab an LFO. We will turn that down to, say, there-ish, and connect that up to step trigger. There's other triggers in case you want to go back to the beginning or something like that. And you now see that our beats are beating. Like so. So again, you can connect this up to drums or synths, or you can also connect it up to things that generate a CV. It's a trigger. So if you connected it up to any of the envelope generators we saw earlier, you could connect them up to something like the phaser and get fun effects like that. Fun effects that have very complicated rhythms and things like that. So if you wanted a really complicated tremolo, we'll connect this up to an envelope and connect that up to a VCA. And then you've got these 4 different outputs, so you can have other effects happening on other beats at other times, which is a very powerful way to do sequences quite easily, and complicated sequences very easily. So the Euclidean sequencer, it sequences stuff through maths. Because this kind of dividing spaces into equal times is the general gist of it. I can show an example of that if you want. If you've got any questions, just give me a yell. If anybody has any questions about any of this stuff, so I mentioned the stuff that's coming soon with the amp stuff. With the neural amp modeling. That'll probably be happening in the next couple of weeks. We're building a mezzanine this week, so we're going to have a bit more space around here. That's our bit of excitement. So you'll see in the background, for those watching on YouTube, it's differently messy than usual. Because we're tearing up some of the flooring downstairs and moving some of the things around and getting some new toys, some new machines. This could be connected. All right, I'll quickly show this. Last little thing I'll show. Looping envelope is the envelope you probably always want, unless you don't for some reason. So I'll connect up the trigger. Oh yes, I should show this too. The is the one outputs are triggered when it's the first beat of the bar, or of the sequence, I guess is perhaps the correct word, of that particular sequence for each of the sequences in the Euclidean sequencer. So it's an easy way to have some kind of control. Or if you have the is the ones controlling, if those trigger another Euclidean sequencer, you can make very complicated longer rhythms very easily. So just send the is the one out to another to be the trigger that triggers another sequencer. And you can cascade these guys. There was a question just recently about that in one of the groups, that somebody was asking how to cascade them to get longer sequences, and that's how you do it. Use the is the one out is one of the ways to do it. And it's the easiest, is the one. You can also count in other ways, but yeah, that's the easiest way. So if we connect the trigger out to the trigger in of the looping envelope, we can connect that up, out one of that up to the phaser. We don't really care about that. Marginally care about this other bit. And then, yeah, we can do fun things with the phaser. And those things are happening when they're a little clicky, actually. Let's shift this. Make these a bit slower. So those will be happening whenever this first, we can turn this guy off, I'm not using it. Whenever those happen. They'll be running into these. So yeah, you can do these kind of stuff pretty easily. Run things into obviously you want to get some effect there. Yeah, if you run any CV stuff, looping envelopes pretty handy for that. The other envelopes can be run the same kind of way, right? So you can get those, connect them up into there. Yeah, and you can sequence anything like this. So it doesn't matter if it's obviously. Turn this guy down. Put this guy out. And put this guy out. You can have this Euclidean sequence drums or something, obviously, as well, or any other sequencer. That's all, easy. If I press M, turn my thing all the way down, I learn the error of my ways. And we trigger here. Again, we can get synthy stuff out of this now. So yeah, that's now triggering whenever there's a beat there. And I will turn this guy down. So yeah, that's all of E, and next week we will be covering F. So yeah, if you've got any last minute questions, give me a yell. Otherwise, there's some of the things you can do with the stuff that's in D that we finish off. Doppler Panner, drum patterns, and the envelope follower and the Euclidean. Got more in F and G next week. But yeah, give me a yell if you've got any last minute questions. There's a question. Did the audio cut out for the guitar? I don't know. I hope not. Can you? I don't know if you can. With this bit, I didn't have any guitar. This was just synthy stuff. I can check if I still have. I don't know if I have. Oh yeah, I've turned my VCA all the way down. It did then because I had the VCA all the way down. No, you probably still have. At least I still have levels with the guitar. Anyway, yeah, you heard that little bit of guitar at the beginning, hopefully, which was through the amp. The other one, at the moment, this guitar is just direct, so it's, it's just guitar to input, so it's kind of arse sounding. But yeah, if you've got any other questions, yeah, give me a yell. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Thank you again for watching this series of things. Hopefully they're useful. And yeah, if you have any questions that you don't want to, that you think of between the weeks, just ask me them over email or anything like that, or over the social media, and I can post them on here as well. I'll just check if there are any other last-minute questions here. Yeah, we're pretty good. All right. Yeah, thanks very much for checking them out, and I will see you next week.